the recon team was fun to be around. It was cool because I got to have that high-speed life for a little bit, and then I realized I'm not a high-speed guy. It all looks cool in movies until you're around guys who do it on a regular basis, and I realize I'm a intel guy, like my AC, my comfy chair. But hey, we all have our role, and I'm okay being the support guy. Having people understand we're more than whiskey. Whiskey brings folks to the table. It's a way for us to raise funds, but at the end of the day, we're here to serve veterans and help them with their wellness.
Live from my Gunny's basement, this is Beyond Impact, a show that spotlights veterans who found purpose after service, proving that the fight for impact, brotherhood, and meaning doesn't end when the uniform comes off. My guest today is Luis Martinez, founder of Whiskey Valor Foundation, where he leads the charge to support veterans through education, community service, and camaraderie.
So I served 5 years in the Marine Corps. I was a geospatial intelligence analyst, fancy word for saying I made maps. Did my boot camp in Royal Marines, so I went to Parris Island. And then from there, I went to Fort Belvoir for training at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and then spent 4 years at Camp Pendleton as part of 1st Intelligence Battalion.
And what originally led you to want to join the Marine Corps?
I honestly thought I was going to join the Navy. My dad served 33 years in the Navy. Grew up around it my whole life and went to talk to the recruiter. I did pretty good on the ASVAB. So like, you're going to be a nuke. And they offered $50,000, and I was about to sign the paperwork until my dad gave me the opportunity to speak to a nuke officer. And he gave me a reality check of how quickly 50K would go and what I'd be doing for a job. So that was gone. They kept pushing me towards jobs that I didn't want to do. But what I loved about the Marine Corps recruiter, she was the most direct and honest of like, I don't care what you want to do. Like, you want to be a Marine. That's what you have to do first. And then as long as you want to be a Marine, I will work to get you intel. And fortunately, it worked out. She was good at her job, and she got me the contract I sought, but I ended up getting a slightly different specialty that I intended to initially.
Right on. Was there a moment in your career as a Marine that kind of shapes who you are today?
A lot of things I learned throughout it, but getting an NJP. A lot of people don't know this, but I got an NJP, and that changed my mindset on a lot of things. I was just very gung-ho Marine. Those are like, oorah, oorah. But that kind of forced me to look back on some things, make wiser decisions, and realize that I'm a lot more resilient than I thought I was. And I fortunately had good leadership who sat me down and was like, hey, you can bounce back from this and do the great things you're doing before and just have this as like a bump in the road. Or you can have the first sergeant and all of them be like, hey, he's a fuck up, sorry for using that language, and he's going to just continue to do bad things. And it was that Gunny sitting me down, just kind of having that man-to-man conversation that was like, okay, well, let's bounce back from this and prove people wrong that, hey, you had a slight mistake and you got to do great things.
I don't know if it's a product of Marine Corps boot camp and the drill instructors just putting the fear of God in you or what it is, but you're not the first person to tell me that, like, I got an NJP, or I was facing some type of punishment, whether it be a page 11, whatever it was. There's a lot of resiliency in the military if you're a good person trying to do the right thing 90% of the time. There's always an opportunity to bounce back, devoid of some type of serious issue that needs to be corrected. What was the hardest lesson that the military taught you?
Things aren't always going to go according to plan. I'm a big planner. You probably saw me before we started this. I have a paper planner. I highlight things color-coded. I'm very regimented, but it taught me to, semper gumby, stay flexible, and always having a backup plan. So if things don't go, get punched in the face, don't go according to plan, you're able to react and take decisive action and do that. So especially with a nonprofit, you may not think like, oh, you have to react and do things, but I'll get a call like, hey, we have this opportunity to partner with you, but you have like a week to do this amazing opportunity. And then I have to make a decision in real time of, hey, am I going to add these hurdles and the tribulations are going to come over the next week to make this event happen? Is it worth that cost because of the potential partnership that just kind of came in front of us? So it's allowed me to just react quickly and be able to handle different things changing in this nonprofit environment that people probably don't realize there's a lot of things that happen rapidly, more rapid than I'd like it to.
Yeah. So we were obviously same branch,
Mhm.
completely different fields. Is there uh, is there a single event within your career that you feel like kind of defined who you are, but aside from the obvious NJP,
Yeah.
that like shaped you as a person?
Yeah. So I graduated honor grad with from my analyst school. Get there and they're like, you don't know anything, boo. What they taught you in school doesn't mean anything. We're going to teach you the real stuff here. So I was kind of disgruntled doing my job for a bit because a lot of it was doing some products here or there. You never got to see the results of it, or some officer coming in, hey, I want a wall map, and it's like, all right, well, you get all this specialized training to make big maps for them. And it wasn't until that opportunity I got to go get attached to a recon team, and we got sent out to Mexico and Hawaii, and actually got to make products in an unknown environment for both of us. And them come back and say, hey, your topographic product allowed us to do A, B, and C. Without it, we would have made a different decision, which may have put people in danger, even though it was a training environment. And that's when I had my first taste of these products are actually helping people. And the recon team was fun to be around. It was cool because I got to have that high speed life for a little bit, and then I realized I'm not a high speed guy. It all looks cool in movies until you're around guys who do it on a regular basis, and I realize I'm a intel guy, like my AC,
Sure.
my comfy chair. But hey, we all have our role, and I'm okay being the support guy.
Yeah. So with that, I miss the kinetic environment. I genuinely miss kicking indoors, getting shot at, returning fire, knowing that I'm, killing bad guys for a good cause, et cetera, et cetera. What do you miss about being in uniform?
Camaraderie. I think everybody tells you, hey, it's going to be different when you get out. I didn't realize how different it would be. I went straight to college. I went to Texas A&M University. I have great friends that I still have to this day. I've been in their weddings, have one coming up, but it was a different connection. And when I was part of the cohort that I started grad school with, they didn't do anything together. It was like we were in class, and the moment class was over, they went separate ways, and no one talked to each other unless it was pertinent to an assignment. And it made me think about where, and like, even when there's that guy in that unit you did not like, if he called you or needed something, you're like, oh, Rich is calling again, but I'm going to go help him because he's my guy, right?
Yep.
I missed that, right? And it was just a different sense of community that I chased for a while until I was fortunate enough to find it, when I finally decided to get involved with veteran organizations.
What was your mindset leaving the military?
It was nerve wracking. I don't think I've ever talked this on camera. It was a little scary because, for the last 5 years of my life, the Marine Corps told me where to go, what I was doing. And if I wasn't happy or hated it, I could blame Marine Corps. Oh, the Marine Corps made me come here. This is stupid. But it was for the first time in my adult life, I was choosing, okay, I want to move to Texas. I want to go pursue a PhD. I want to go do this. I'm leaving my wife while has 5 more months of active duty. And there was a lot of doubt creeping in whether or not was that the smart decision? Was that going to be successful? Or if I fail, I, as a man, let down my family.
Yeah.
So my mind was not in a good place. But fortunately, I made the right decisions, or I was at least able to bounce back from the hard things along the way. But there was a lot of doubt that crept in as I was separating.
Yeah, I think doubt is kind of universal, right? So, for better or worse, no matter how much time you spend in the military, if you've been there for more than a year, maybe a year and a half if you're slow, you have a pretty damn good idea of what to expect most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it takes to get fired. You know what it takes to get promoted. And all of that affects the way that you are able to provide for your family, the way you're able to live, et cetera. And then, yeah, there's that fear of the unknown. I think when that safety net goes away,
Mm-hmm.
right? That understanding of exactly what I need to do in order to make it or break it just completely goes away because we're playing by different rules now.
And like you said, looking back on it, there's times where it's the Marine Corps, this is crazy. I don't know how I'm doing this, but looking back, life was so simple. I knew where I had to be, I knew what to wear, and they provided me 3 meals a day. I kind of missed that. I was simply at the time I hated it, but looking back, I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. I was so naive. It was so simple. Just had to be there, and I knew on the 1st and 15th I was getting paid. You leave the Marine Corps, that's not a guarantee. You can get let go for this or that, or there's budget cuts, and for no fault of your own, now you're without income or benefits. I'd say the hardest part was getting over my own bullshit. It was like, hey, I can figure this out. I'm going to do this. And finally, I had someone, actually met, she was a Marine, her name's Megan, there was a veteran event on campus at a baseball game. And she was doing the good things that a fellow veteran should do. She's like, oh, hey, what are you involved with on campus? And I was like, nothing. I just go to school, go home, do my thing. And she's like, oh, you should come out to a Student Veterans of America event. Finally, all right, whatever. Seems like a nice girl. Let's go to this event. And that's where I got to meet a bunch of veterans who are friends to this day. And I got to see like, oh, hey, these are people who have similar experiences. We're coming together, trying to get things on campus and instituting change to affect veterans after our time here. And that was the one thing finally when I got out of my own head of like, hey, just hang out with fellow veterans. You're going to find like-minded people. And then that was like my new tribe. And that got me to do more things.
I think I've heard you speaking to others say that there's over 40,000 veteran nonprofits out there. Find one that fits your special interest, so to speak, and try to find your tribe there. But I think you also kind of eat your own dog food with that because you've been a part of a couple of different organizations, right?
Yeah. Like you said, there's over 40,000. So if you're like, oh, this organization is not for me, there's one out there. Or you just need to stop being so picky. Or if none of them happen to align with you, do what I did, start your own, right? It's not as hard as you think. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but creating a nonprofit on paper is not that hard. But I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the Student Veterans of America, who kind of really got me involved with stuff. The Travis Manion Foundation. I get to do a lot of mentoring and helping youth in my local community. And then I'm also fortunate enough to be a 2020 Tillman Scholar, so the Pat Tillman Foundation. And those networks have helped me when I've been at some of my lowest points and also putting me in positions to have some of my biggest wins since being out of uniform.
Right on. So let's talk about Whiskey Valor Foundation. What is Whiskey Valor?
So Whiskey Valor, we're a nonprofit that uses single barrels of bourbon and whiskey to support veterans and their families while promoting mental health and responsible drinking initiatives. So the idea being, if I go tell you, or especially like our younger service members, don't drink, I just lost you. You're going to click off and I'm not listening to what this guy has to say. But we want to meet veterans where they're at. We know they're drinking, give them the resources or the tools to do it responsibly. But if someone is struggling, step on with resources so they're no longer leaning on alcohol in a time of need.
So if I'm reading between the lines, the idea is to insert yourself into the military culture. I'm guessing predominantly Marine Corps, but all branches of service. Become a part of the conversation when Marines are out drinking, help facilitate maybe learning about different types of alcohol and what you enjoy and that kind of stuff, but then also helping them develop a plan. And it sounds like you're providing a safety net for those who are struggling with alcoholism or addiction, et cetera, where you're now already kind of built into having someone there to talk to and to help you through that struggle.
Yeah. So like, as we kind of mentioned before, like one of the big things was like, it's community, right? It's what we miss, having that camaraderie. So we are first and foremost a community. We bring veterans together and civilians and their family members together. We drink whiskey, but we make sure people are doing it responsibly. It doesn't matter what branch you're in. We have a lot of Marine-centered things because, I am a Marine, so I can speak Marine, but we are doing things with other branches. But bring folks in, we figure out what's important to them in the veteran space, and we partner with other organizations to bring awareness to the different work they're doing. And we have two big programs that are like our flagship things. One is our wellness retreat. We'll be sending 25 vets at no cost to them next year to Colorado to just, frankly, deal with their shit out in the woods, come back as a better person than when they arrived. And the second one being our rideshare initiative, where with us being new, still raising funds, it's initially going to start off with very specific events. Here's a set number of $10 vouchers. We want to encourage people to use Uber to get home versus, I only had a couple, I think I'm good. So encourage rideshare services and usage, but ultimate goal is when we have the funds is any veteran in the U.S. has one too many, we're going to pay for the full Uber to get home because we'd rather pay that $30-$40 to get you home than you make a bad decision that costs you your career, your life or someone else's.
Did any part of your military career, so I'm guessing making maps doesn't transition over to nonprofit, swilling bourbon and networking doesn't translate over to that well. So is there any part of your military career that you feel like prepared you for leading Whiskey Valor Foundation?
Yeah, one, learning from the good and bad leadership, I had in the Marine Corps, but briefing, I've had to brief or educate, my junior Marines, had pocket classes, be able to explain a difficult topic, get it down very simple terms, all the way to briefing generals and, that hard ass captain that's going to, ask you all the hard questions that don't need to be asked. So that helped me prepare for, talking to some people. Usually it's very easy when I'm sharing the mission, but every now and then you have that person who's throwing me some rapid fire questions, trying to get me to stumble. But the stranger on the street is not as scary as when the colonel, is staring at you trying to make a big decision. So that's helped a lot. But then also when you're in the military, you're around people from all over the world or all over the U.S., different backgrounds. And then you also get to see some of the ugliest moments. I've had friends get in trouble for alcohol and or see senior leaders, have to step in front of the battalion and say they got a DUI. And seeing those things and realizing there's very, very, very easy things that can be put in place to prevent it from happening. And that's where Whiskey Valor is going to step in and provide that gap in resources that don't exist currently.
I know a little bit about you and I know a little bit about Whiskey Valor Foundation, but what does a day-to-day operating Whiskey Valor Foundation, what does your day-to-day mission look like?
Unfortunately, right now, there isn't a consistent day-to-day, which is part of like the startup phase. But that could be, as simple as answering emails, creating social media posts, to I'm traveling to Kentucky to go drink whiskey, hanging out with other vets, or hanging out with other nonprofits. I joke around that I have the best job in the world, and one day hopefully I get paid for it. But I get to drink whiskey, hang out with vets, learn about their problems or issues, and then we put solutions into work with our single barrels.
You served in the military. Now you're serving the military. How has this new project of yours, this new mission, affected the way you see yourself or your community?
Yeah, I think being a little bit older and dare I say wiser now, looking back, I've always had a knack for like wanting to serve other people. And it's just an extension of that, doing it in a different way. Whiskey Valor is fun. I get to drink whiskey, do all those things. But at the end of the day, we're there for the veteran. So it allows me to serve beyond my uniform. And it's a great way to get tied back into the military community. It's always fun being around active duty service members, especially, those my age, and seeing like, hey, you're a gunny now. Like we were Lance Corporals together. Like, how are you a leader? Like I've been around you when the leadership wasn't around, but also being able to get into rooms with senior leadership where I got out as a corporal, a twice awarded corporal at that, right? Now I'm meeting with senior sergeant majors in the Marine Corps, or sergeants major, and then with generals to get my opinion on things. To me, it's kind of crazy to think sometimes. But also some of the fun part is when I get to go, like I was at the Naval Academy recently, or talking to junior like PFCs and Lance Corporals, getting to see their take on things and what's important to them and what can we do to that way we're bridging the gap across our current generation of Marines, future generations, and then those that served when we served and prior to that. We all have similar problems. It's just how we go about dealing with it. It varies from generation to generation.
What has been the biggest obstacle that you've faced in starting out this new venture?
Yeah, the biggest one is having people understand we're more than whiskey. Whiskey brings folks to the table. It's a way for us to raise funds, but at the end of the day, we're here to serve veterans and help them with their wellness and with responsible drink initiatives. We have several events that don't involve alcohol, but I think when people hear Whiskey Valor, seeing the single barrels, they assume, oh, it's just vets getting together, getting drunk. You've been to several of the events. I don't.
Been to a few.
We've been a couple. But like, we're not getting drunk, right? We're right. Hanging out. Yeah, yes, we're drinking.
I'm getting drunk.
Okay, well, but like the intent is not to like if we were Lance Corporals, drink as much as we can, as quickly as we can to forget about what's going on. Like we're having conversation, we're networking, and to me, the thing that comes out of those events is the partnerships that are evolving from a Whiskey Valor event. And like, I encourage that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of organizations that want like everything siloed, just their organization. We modeled our business plan on collaboration. We can't solve the world's problems, but together with the 40,000 other veteran service organizations, we can start making a big dent in things that are affecting our veteran population.
Hell yeah. I'm a boot lance corporal. I have no taste for whiskey. Is it just whiskey? Is there a way for me to participate in Whiskey Valor without being a fan of whiskey?
Yeah. So, well, first I'll say, if you don't know whiskey, or you're just like, hey, I just drink the cheap stuff, we have whiskey classes we can provide. So we give you the history of bourbon, what makes something bourbon versus whiskey versus scotch, give you all that stuff so you're understanding what is a rye versus a whiskey versus a bourbon. And it involves a tasting as long as you're over 21. But once a month, we do a coffee with Whiskey Valor at the Fredericksburg Black Rifle Coffee Company. We get together, share stories, resources. There's no alcohol involved. And then we're actually starting in December. I forgot what day it is, but the first Saturday of December, we're partnering with Rich here in his gym, Honorbound Fit, and we're going to start having a Heroes workout series. And the goal of that is part of our wellness pillar is to bring awareness to service members who've given the ultimate sacrifice, do a workout in their honor, and then we're going to invite in fellow veteran serving organizations to share their mission. So by the time you leave there, you honored a fellow service member, you got a great workout in, and then now you know about another resource that you or a buddy can use. So I don't know where else you get something better than that in one day, and it costs you no money.
Yeah, hell yeah. If it was a boot lance corporal with no money in my bank account because I live paycheck to paycheck, and I suddenly took interest in good bourbons, I would venture to say that I might not try to drink the entire bottle in a night because it cost me $200. And with this newfound appreciation of whiskey, I might actually be a more responsible drinker. Have you seen that, or is that kind of part of your intent?
Yeah, it is. The idea is to change the stigma of how service members view alcohol. I personally have over 250 bottles in my collection. If you look at my house in my basement, you would think, oh man, this dude must drink all the time. But I go weeks, months without drinking. And it's typically when I have someone over and they're like, oh, I've never tried that, or I've been wanting to try this, and I'll pull something down, we try it. So personally, it's been helpful because I actually drink less now as the founder of Whiskey Valor than I did before. But we
also work out less now.
Maybe there's a correlation. We're going to do a study about that. But we also have, we don't have only expensive bottles. One of some of our partners, we're very fortunate, make very good bourbon and whiskey at reasonable price points that your Lance Corporal can afford. But we also have challenge wins that come with them, so it's a pretty cool thing you can have after the fact and get a little more bang for your buck. But all of our events, I would say like 75% of our events are at no cost. We will have fundraisers that have a cost, but those are very specific to help us raise additional funds to do more things. But we've held several private tastings with veterans and active duty service members. You come in, have a meal, and come drink some good whiskey and build community, and it costs you $0. And if you have one too many, Whiskey Valor is going to pay for your Uber to get home.
So I know it's early, you're in your infancy of Whiskey Valor Foundation, but are there any stories that you could share with us of any individuals who have been impacted by Whiskey Valor Foundation?
Yeah, so I would say the main impact now, because we're still building and growing, is building community, bringing people together. I've had people tell me that, if it wasn't for Whiskey Valor, they wouldn't be coming out to events to connect with other organizations or fellow community members. But two things that stick in mind to me, I had a buddy we were having a heart-to-heart, and he was telling me about some struggles he was having, after separating from the military. And I was telling him some things that we're putting in place. And he's like, hey, fortunately, nothing bad happened. But if I had the things that you were trying to put in place with the rideshare initiative, it would have prevented him from making some bad decisions, put him not in a good spot. So that fuels me, is like, okay, hey, this is affecting, alcohol is affecting people I know. And sometimes they're struggling. Well, let's step in to get them resources and these tools to get them home safely. The other one was I was at an event at our local food bank and had a woman introducing myself, telling her about Whiskey Valor. And she grabs me, dude, and I swear the hairs went up on my arm, and she was like, in the sweetest way possible, where were you 4 years ago? And I was like, grown 8-year-old man, like wasn't around doing this. And she's like, oh, well, my son, multiple combat deployments, and he was struggling with alcohol. He needed people to talk to. She's like, I think you could have made a difference. And even though I just met that woman and, I didn't know her son, it made me realize like, oh, like this is actually something people need. And eventually one day we will help save lives and put people in the right place they need to be so they can get the help and no longer land on alcohol in a time of need.
So through the ride share program, you're helping prevent DUIs. Mm-hmm. Through your events, you're bringing people out of isolation. What's in the future in Whiskey Valor? What do you have on the horizon?
Yeah, so we have the physical fitness events that we'll be doing with y'all, which I'm really excited for. We have private whiskey tastings that we're doing with some national brand distilleries. And then as we continue to grow, we always ask the people who attend our events, like, what more can we be doing? Because I don't have all the answers. I think I've gotten a little bit wiser to understand, like, hey, every idea that I think is good is not necessarily what everybody needs. It might be just what I want. So we're very intentional of talking to those who show up, what they want to see, so we can evolve with the needs of our community. We have our Marine Corps Marathon team that's going to be in about a month. People are fundraising for that. We have our wellness retreat that we're going to send 25 vets to Colorado in May of 2026. And we have a couple big fundraisers and events happening with some very large brands that we haven't finalized details on. So we're going to wait for that. But I think we'll be partnering with some fellow nonprofits and whiskey brands and other brands that are going to give us a whole new platform, which I think ultimately will help bring in additional donor dollars so we can have more impact on the veteran community.
Right on. What's the best way to find out about these different initiatives that you have going on and what's coming up?
Yeah, if you ever want to email us directly, go to info@whiskeyvalor.org. It'll come to us. Our team will see who needs to look at it, and we'll get you a response. But on Instagram, at Whiskey Valor, we post everything there. Also on LinkedIn and Facebook. But show up to one of our events. Look at what we have on social media. It's open to everyone. You don't have to be a veteran or active duty or a reservist to attend. You can be a community service member or a community member who just wants to help understand what vets are going through or drink some good whiskey. Come check us out, and we'd love to meet you.
What would you suggest for veterans getting out in terms of how do I find my purpose after giving up this purpose that's means so much to me?
Yeah, well, first go to medical. Go get all your stuff documented for when you go do your VA claim. We can speak specifically to the Marine Corps. It was like it was looked down upon if you went to medical ever. And now when you're out and you're getting older and you have these issues, it's a little bit harder to get those claims to go through. So, swallow the pill, the tough pill, go see medical, get things documented, start your claim as early as you possibly can. I think it's a year out from separation. Do that. But outside of that, you need to go network. Go to veteran service organization like events. I'm biased, so go to the Travis Manion Foundation, go to a Whiskey Valor Foundation event. Start preparing. If you're going to go to school, look into the Pat Toom Foundation, applying to their scholarship. Look into Student Veterans of America. I guarantee there's one almost on every campus, especially the larger campuses throughout the U.S. Start talking to people. There's tons of us who've been out there, gotten out, done, have gone on to be successful, but you're not talking to, you don't know that person, right? Because, you're still at the unit. Learn from them, network. There's a lot of veterans who want to help their fellow veteran. Just share with people what you're trying to do. People will get you in touch with the right folks to learn what's possible. And then I would say the big thing is don't be afraid to make a change. I've been doing intelligence since 2013. Working on a PhD, very focused on that. And when I decided to leave to go do Whiskey Valor, there was, again, the doubt crept in of like, hey, you're doing the right thing. You spent 12 years of your life doing this thing. You're pretty good at it. Get paid well. Is this the right thing to do? And there were some moments where I was like, I don't know if I made the right decision. But if you had asked me right now, I made the best decision not only for myself, but for my family. And it was because I had different organizations around me to give me the tools to be successful. And hopefully make a greater impact in our community.
What do you think civilians often misunderstand about veterans?
So I think civilians tend to think we don't want them around. Don't get me wrong, there's some events and certain things where like, hey, this should be only veterans and service members because there's a inherent understanding of just shared experience. But we want civilians to be around at events, learn from their stories. And some of, I would say, our biggest advocates for the things we're doing is the civilian population. So come out to events, at least specifically for Whiskey Valor. You're welcome at our tastings. And we've had several civilian attendees help us get our foot in the door for other events and organizations. So we welcome what we like to call inspired civilians to come out and connect, and you might build a new friendship or have a new understanding, realize that we're not just all angry and depressed. That we're living good lives and we're doing good things.
How do you balance personal life and family with the demands of your mission?
Oh man, that is a tough one for me. I get very mission driven and mission focused. So fortunately, my wife, she's a Marine veteran as well. She'll have that tough conversation with me, like, hey, you need to be more mindful of your time, because we have two kids, soon to be 5-year-old and a newborn. But I'm very fortunate that we have those open and honest conversations, like, this is why I need to be away to do this or attend this event. And she sees the bigger picture. But sometimes you have to, do that self-reflection of, I'm not spending enough time with the people I need to, aka your family. And I've been making better efforts to strategically place my engagements outside of my family time.
So you mentioned that you've been able to develop a lot of relationships with other nonprofits and distillers, brands, etc. What have been some of your strongest relationships, or what connection have you been most grateful for?
Oh man, that's tough. It's gonna get me in trouble a little bit, if I leave someone out. But I would say two that quickly come to mind. Marshall Barr, he's a fellow Tillman scholar, and I remember when and he's on our board now. And when we first met, we were in a line to get omelets while we were at a leadership retreat in Chicago, and sharing, hey, what do you do? This is what I do. He's like, hey, I'm a doctor in medicine. Some of my specialties include addictive medicine and veterans. I was like, boy, do I have an idea, to share with you. And your profession is the one that either sinks or swims. And let's swim. So we ended up grabbing our food. We talked and shared everything. We went and did the conference. And later that evening, he's like, hey, I talked to my wife. We want to work together. Let's see how we can help make an impact in veterans' lives. So that's been great. And he's opened up his network for me, because that man does a lot of great things, and he's kind enough to believe in the mission and give us a chance to share things with his name attached to it. Two distillery partners that have been great. One, our first barrel pick we did to support a fellow veteran service organization, VetMap, which is an organization out of Texas that I went through and has actually played a huge role in Whiskey Valor getting started. They help veterans identify their strengths and purpose, so that way they reduce the number of veterans who are leaving their first job within a year of separation. And to me, like a secondary effect of that, it's helping you prevent wasting your GI Bill, because if you realize, hey, I don't need to go down this career path because it's not my strength or purpose, I'm not going to use my GI Bill to get a degree that is no longer useless because I have to switch career paths to something that's better for me. So we went with Garrison Brothers. They're a Texas-based bourbon, and they've been, Texans love Texas, so it was like, hey, let's go with Garrison Brothers. And I can't share too much, but they've been huge supporters of ours, that we're cooking something up for 2026 to help even more veterans. But it was them giving us a chance, the first national brand to give us a chance to show, like, hey, we're actually doing something. As she would tell it, one of their reps, that I was a very persistent young veteran out of Texas A&M, kept sending her emails and phone calls, and finally she gave me the chance to share the story. And they've been great supporters of ours, so I'm excited for that and the future things we're doing with them. But also, I would be remiss if I didn't say anything about Will Malley, who's an active duty master sergeant in the Marine Corps. He's one of the co-founders of Blue Bolt, and they started everything around the Marine Corps. We did this barrel pick. It's a rye, so we get the olive drab for the alpha, so there's a lot of odes to that. And the purpose of this one, we partnered with Sven Smash, Bell's Old Glory Shop, and Blue Bolt to buy 25 NCO Soul Refractory Marines, corporals and sergeants. And as we said before, all of them come with very cool custom challenge coins. So Will's been great opening up his network, teaching me things about whiskey and bourbon that unless you own a company, you wouldn't know. So it's giving me some of that insider information. So when I reach out to other brands, I know what I'm saying and kind of also can pick up what they're putting down if they're not being very direct. And not only that, he just believes in supporting fellow veterans. So he definitely takes care of us and is our proud sponsor of our Marine Corps Marathon charity team.
So for the veterans who have maybe found a purpose, they know, this is what I want to do, running full speed, full force. What kind of advice would you give them when they feel like they're spinning their wheels and nobody's returning their emails and, just making those connections is just feeling impossible?
Yes, I've had people tell me this. I would say simply don't give up. There's so many companies, nonprofits, different organizations who failed because they quit just a moment too early. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great things happen on Whiskey Valor, but no one ever sees the rejection emails, the phone calls that didn't go the way I wanted them to go. Social media shows you all the good stuff, right? No one shows you the hard work that's happening behind the scenes. But to me, it's always I'm chasing that yes or that next partnership. And yesterday I got an email from a partner that will announce officially in the coming months. That was like more than I could have ever asked in return for what they said. And it was that moment I was like, okay, the late nights, the travel, it was for this email to come in, and I got such a high off of that. And that's what I chase now, to show like, hey, we did this with X company. This is what we can do with your company. And if we come together, this is the impact we can have on the veteran community.
I really appreciate your story, brother. I appreciate you coming out and sharing it with us. Any parting remarks you want to leave for anybody silly enough to stick around this far in the video?
Yeah, I don't know why you're still here if you are here, but I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for having us on. Go find your community, whether that's Whiskey Valor or another veteran serving nonprofit, there's one out there for you. Come check out an event and just know we're using whiskey to do good. It's okay to drink alcohol as long as you're doing it responsibly. But if you or someone else is struggling, please reach out to Whiskey Valor. We're here to help you. At the end of the day, we want to make sure everybody's getting home safely and not making any bad decisions.
That's all for this episode. And just like a rocket, the mission doesn't end at impact. It's about the ripple effect that follows. So stay dangerous, be useful, and we'll see you next time.